again, the question now is what happens from here. I want to bring in Nile Gardiner. Nile, it appears that there are three options: an extension of Article 50, to revoke Article 50 altogether, or perhaps a hard Brexit, which is what I assume the British people voted for in the first place.
Well, by far the best option, Charles, is for Britain to move forward with a no-deal Brexit. That is the only way in which the Prime Minister can guarantee full British sovereignty and self-determination. This is what the British people voted for in June 2016. They voted for Britain to completely leave the European Union. This is what Vote Leave, the main Brexit campaign, campaigned upon. And I think any alternative right now to a no-deal Brexit would be a tremendous compromise, a surrender to the European Union. And this is the only way that I can see forward for the Prime Minister now, although I suspect that she is going to seek an alternative route to this after a series of disastrously weak negotiations with the EU. I imagine that she's going to offer more of the same, unfortunately.
Well, in a perverse way, the last 24 hours for Theresa May, doesn't that strengthen her hand when she goes back to Brussels? Because they have to understand the position that she's in, and it's hard for me to believe, despite all the talk of $1 trillion leaving London and going to Frankfurt, and the UK being cut out of the economic benefits of the continent, that they're eager, that the folks at the EU and Brussels are even eager for this sort of divorce.
Well, I think that, Britain's actually doing very, very well in the Brexit era economically. And I think that Brexit actually will be great for Britain's long-term economic future, despite all the doom and gloom, projections and so on. I think that, with regard to Theresa May, her fundamental weakness has been an inability to stand up for her own country, an inability to stand up to the mandarins of Brussels, the EU bureaucrats. And she has handled all these negotiations of the past 2 years with the EU from a position of weakness instead of strength. And I expect that when she goes back to Brussels in the coming weeks, as I expect she's going to outline probably on Monday, I don't think she's going to get any real concrete results from the EU at all. In fact, the European Commission has made it abundantly clear they are not going to make any concessions to Britain. I expect that the only concessions being offered are going to be from Theresa May in the other direction to the European Union. And there's no way that Parliament will accept another watered-down, extremely weak-kneed, EU withdrawal agreement negotiated by Theresa May with Brussels.
Niall, I've read reports where perhaps the EU will extend the olive branch of, hey, let's extend this for a year, perhaps even two, to continue to work toward a negotiation that we both can live with. If that were the case, would that be acceptable?
Yeah. Well, I think that's, certainly reports in London are indicating that the European Union is considering extending Article 50, which is the legal mechanism which governs the date of Britain's departure. Now, in my view, this would actually be completely unacceptable, because what it does really is it pulls out, it draws out the EU withdrawal process for Britain. Basically, it would increase the likelihood, I think, that Brexit would never take place at all.
Right.
This, of course, is the goal of the European Union, to reverse Brexit. And so if they offer this olive branch, it's a poisoned chalice, I think, if the British government accepts this.
I think the people of the UK agree with you. Niall, always appreciate your expertise. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thanks very much, Charles.
All right, folks, we'll be right back to Dow.